And we are live. Good evening, crypto warriors, and welcome back to the Gentlemen of Crypto, episode 427. Today is Tuesday, July 9th, and I'm King, and we are here to bring you the Gentlemen of Crypto, of course. A lot of stuff going on today. It looks like Grayscale is back in the news as their Bitcoin trust has outperformed indexes in the first half of 2019. Overstock's T0 tokenizes upcoming Atari Fistful of Quarters movie. U.S. SEC and FINRA issues statement on crypto custody issues. Investor Fortress will buy Mt. Gox creditor claims for $900 per Bitcoin. North Carolina is in the news with their lieutenant governor launching a blockchain initiative. And last but not least, John McAfee is back in the news, offering to build Cuba's first ever cryptocurrency. What's going on, D. Chiron, Tessa Hall, Cornelius Broadnax? Wife says no, what it does. Hello. See you all starting to load in here. Go ahead and check out some of these Bitcoin and crypto prices today. Looks like Bitcoin, some say, saw it hit as high as 12,800 today before retracing a little bit. But right now, as you see on top of this Cointelegraph article, we're about at $12,597. So up a bit. Ripple is at 40 cents, still staying around the same for the last month or so. Ethereum's at $308. Bitcoin Cash at $416. EOS $5.87, and Litecoin at $119. And it's funny, I'm just seeing they added, I'm not sure if it's because of the way I zoomed in or zoomed out, but you see Neo here as well with at $17. People remember, if Neo was supposed to be the crypto to take over the Asian market. If you remember, Neo used to be Ant Shares. That was the big one that I personally missed out on. That still makes me sick to my stomach on a daily basis. I believe I saw Ant Shares when it was like something crazy, like 40 cents or something. I don't know. It was something like this seriously low, maybe 40 cents, 60 cents. But literally saw that go all the way to $9 when they rebranded Neo. Then, of course, it took off. But, I mean, I think Neo went as high as like, at one point, 60, 70, 80 bucks, whatever. I know for sure he was at $40, $42 for a while. But it's back at 17, and it's still in the top 10. And it might be something to pay attention to, because if crypto as a whole does rebound and China plans to continue using Neo as one of their top coins, then of course Neo will also see that come back. So another coin to pay attention to. If it pumps tomorrow, don't say I didn't call it. No. What's going on, Shannon Allen, Sergeant Crypto? What's going on, Allison Thompson? All right, but top story. Speaking about the prices of crypto. As I said, Wall Street Journal is reporting Grayscale Bitcoin Trust outperformed indexes in the first half of 2019. I'm telling you, people, just looking at the title, this makes my teeth white in the morning. This is a great story. Digital Asset Management Fund Grayscale Investments Bitcoin Trust, GBTC, is up almost 300% on the year. Data from Morningstar via the Wall Street Journal has revealed. Looks like as of July 9th, the investment instrument is yielding a 296% appreciation year to date, a stratospheric increase as compared with the mainstream investments reflected in the S&P 500, which are at 18.7%, and the global Dow, which is at 12.9% over the same period. You have to understand the totality of this. The people who invest in the S&P 500 and the global Dow, the people who work it, the people who trade it, all, whether they're Wall Street or your mom and pop who invest, or the Goldman Sachs, whoever invests in all this stuff, these are the same people who traditionally have not believed in cryptocurrency as a whole. They haven't believed in Bitcoin, or they say it's too risky, it's too volatile. You heard all these people say it's going to die. I mean, we have so many screenshots. I screenshot so many big Instagram personalities who, I told you so in the Bitcoin bubble pop, or the death of Bitcoin, all the Twitter screenshots. And literally, these are the numbers. What did Jay-Z say? Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. These are the numbers from, this is even the big, the big boom, the big bull cycle. We saw a bigger one in 2017, right? But already we're at a 296% appreciation year to date from some investments. And of course, Grayscale is one of the best out there. I think they may have been one of the first Bitcoin investment platforms out there. So to see them start off, years ago, of course, having a lot of doubters, and then now literally not only, this isn't even the first time. Remember, 2017 happened. This is the second time in a matter of 2.5, 3 years where Grayscale Bitcoin Trust has outperformed the S&P and Global Dow. This is the stuff that gets people fired. Like this is literally, I mean, we talked about this last week when we were talking about we're finally back to these 15 to 20% swings. This is a good thing for traders, for volatility. But literally that's how much they've yielded on the year. 18% is how much the traditional market yield. That's why they can't stomach Bitcoin being at 12,500 today and then tomorrow dropping down to 10,300. They literally can't stomach it because they don't understand the math behind it. They don't understand the percentage swings. They don't understand how to capture those swings and make a lot of money. Of course, it isn't everybody. We saw SIBO and CME and some other people pop up in the last few years who've done very well. But the overall majority of Wall Street and your traditional investors do not understand this market still. Because if they did, these numbers would be closer because there is no reason why companies on the S&P 500 and Global Dow aren't investing in Bitcoin still, but they're not. It's hilarious. I mean, this is just truly hilarious. I guess it's a good thing for those who are who want those slow moving, less aggressive investments where it's like, hey, nothing should go wrong. But even those, I'm not a huge firm believer in those. I know people say the blue chip companies, your Pepsis, your Microsofts and all that. But I mean, once upon a time, Blockbuster used to be a blue chip company, right? I'm sure there are plenty of hotel chains and taxi chains that used to be the blue chip companies. So with me, I don't really believe in this. Well, this is a more moderate approach to investing, or this is passive. It isn't as aggressive and volatile as Bitcoin. Yes and no. To me, it's all about the technology. If I look at a company, board of directors, this, that, and other, I don't know who's gonna be the sexist one day or the racist one day or whatever that's gonna send that stock tumbling down. But with technology, with Bitcoin, you can personally go online yourself and look at everything and say, oh, this all makes sense. 2 + 2 = 4. This should work. So shout out to Grayscale Bitcoin Trust for sticking to their guns, sticking to their game plan, and continue to invest in what I am assuming when they initially started had to be a troubling market where a lot of people kind of point at them like, who are these new guys on the block? But it looks like they are continuing to get the last laugh. Again, Grayscale is owned by the TGoC Group Incorporated, and their assets under management as of June 28 had hit 2.56 billion. This is crazy, people. They only have 2.69 billion worth of assets. So you're talking about less than 3 billion of assets with a 300% gain. Imagine if they had the money the S&P and the Global Dow had. We're talking about multi-billions. I mean, hundreds of billions. Imagine they had a good fraction of that. That is, you're talking about life change. This is why I talk about the whole country thing. We're about to get into with taxation and all that. It's literally, you don't need to tax everybody. Just buy Bitcoin from the government, nationalize the amount of Bitcoin you buy, and sit on it. You would never need to tax another American again. This is showing it. It works. But of course, that is too easy. But again, I had to point it out. This is a great story. Good news today. What's going on, Digi Byte Unlimited Network Crypto Videos? So Movid, Crypto and Culture, lit. What's going on, Antonio? Sergeant Crypto said for a, quote, financial advisor not to have his clients exposed somewhat to Bitcoin is extremely irresponsible, and this is why they are not needed. If mine is listening, or my old one is listening, no offense to him, but exactly. I mean, I got rid of my financial advisor because he kind of talked me off the ledge of going all into Bitcoin when I wanted to. And I mean, again, I'm not going to say the biggest mistake, but it was like I definitely could have went in a little bit more. So yeah, you're totally right, Sergeant Crypto. And it's crazy. Financial advisors are still cautioning people away from Bitcoin. Primary reason is because they don't understand it, which is even crazier. There are financial advisors out there who haven't taken a 2 or 3 day weekend or a vacation and say, you know what, I'm not going to do nothing for the next 48, 72 hours, but stick my head in his laptop and figure out what's going on with cryptocurrency and Bitcoin to see if this is a real investment. No, they have literally just received guidance from their bosses and came back and be like, no, can't do Bitcoin. That's too dangerous, and it's not a good investment. So people like Grayscale Bitcoin Trust will just continue to outperform them, I guess. What is going on, Mr. Gibson Sr.? All right. Overstock's T0 tokenizes upcoming Atari Fistful of Quarters movie. That is right. T0, the cryptocurrency wing of the American retail giant Overstock, will tokenize forthcoming motion picture Atari Fistful of Quarters, according to a press release published today on July 9th. Looks like per the release, T0 has partnered with the upcoming movie's producers to develop a token dubbed Bushnell, which will be sold by the film production and financing company Vision Tree. Looks like token owners will purportedly get shares of the movie earnings and receive additional benefits, including the ability to vote on the movie's trailer and make a point of choosing the movie cast. I think this is great. I'm not sure how well it's actually going to work, but I think this is amazing. Without going into detail about, the totality of the movie, looks like this movie is going to be a biopic about Nolan Bushnell, an American businessman and engineer, often cited as the father of the video game industry. So definitely a shout out to you, because you helped raise me then if you're the father of the video game industry. But Bushnell also founded computer and video game console manufacturer, the Atari Corporation. I know if you're plus 30 and you're watching right now, Atari may have helped raise you at one point in your life as well. But I mean, this is great news. They're saying they think they cracked the code of Hollywood. I won't say fully, but this is a piece of it. This is amazing. I mean, that's where we're going with today's technology and what people want. People want to have the ability to choose. You go to something that's basic as fast food, you see, you can choose what type of ingredients you want in your food or on your burger and all this other stuff. You can customize stuff, right? And they're right. Why not have Hollywood literally give the customer what they want? At least for some of the smaller things, like, hey, because what's going to happen when they say you can pick the trailer? They're going to do like 3 or 4 trailers, and then they're going to say, hey, we're going to release them all anyway, but you all can decide what's the first trailer we release. Or even better, let's say that this movie does take off and you have a stake in it with tokens, and you get a piece of that back. I mean, it's kind of with what's the guy from Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. That's what he did, I think, with one of the Iron Man movies, and that's how he really made a lot of his fortune back in an even more vast amount. Is that instead of taking all his money, in a cash payout, I think it's for the first or second Iron Man, he said, no, keep the money, reinvest it. I want to own some of the movie. So when the next Iron Man or whatever it was, or Avengers that happened and it came out, he made a ton of money off the deal because he reinvested his money into the actual movie. This is great because can you imagine some of your favorite movies that you knew were going to be your favorite when they came out, if you had the ability to invest in it? Some of the bigger ones I'm thinking about, which I'm sure they probably wouldn't even ask for investments, but you never know. But we talk about Robert Downey Jr. You talk about the Iron Mans, the Spider-Mans, the Incredible Hulks, all the the superhero movies, the Superman versus Batman. Of course, it was a big flop as far as no one was happy about it. But the hype around Superman versus Batman, I think that was like the summer of 2016. That was huge, and to be able to say, well, I can literally just go to my wallet or go online and buy a piece of this movie. I have a token, and if it does very well, or Black Panther hits that $1 billion mark, I can look back the next day and see that in real time and withdraw that money. I think it's going to be amazing. Now, the part I'm skeptical, the part I am skeptical about is if it will actually work, because one of the things Patrick Byrne, the chief executive officer of Overstock, said, this is the one who said, we have been looking for the team to crack the code for Hollywood and bring much needed transparency and accountability to an industry that has been historically resistant to change. This is an extremely impressive team, and we are thrilled to bring the T0 tech stack to the movie industry. All right, I fully agree with that statement. For those who don't know, of course, I do modeling and commercials and all that stuff in Hollywood as well. And I have been a big proponent of trying to change the system. I'm trying to figure out some software as well, because they still use checks. Like, believe it or not, we use checks for everything. Like, if you get paid on, or if you're supposed to, you do a job on Monday, you literally might not see that check for another anywhere from 4 to 12 weeks. So for a month to 3 months, you might not see your check for something you've already done, for services rendered. And it's literally because some of the bigger payment processors for Hollywood aren't even located in Hollywood. They're located in New York. They're located in Chicago. So my joke out here is that, like, what mobster came down here in the 60s and put the clamps on everybody for checks to need to flow out to different cities and different states before you even get them if you live in the state. So there's literally something wrong with that process. And with me, I'm just like, if Hollywood were to use crypto, you can literally get done with your job and get paid on the spot. There's no reason for that not to happen and still have full accountability and transparency. So they're trying to do that, except from an ownership perspective. So I think this is huge. It's good news. But again, the part I'm skeptical about, of course, is our good old United States government. Good old government, because at the end of the day, you're messing with somebody's money. If you decide that, hey, we're going to start basically doing an ICO for movies, or we're going to, something like this, people can make money off of investing in movies. You're messing with the government now. You're messing with the good old way things have been. you're changing too much. I don't like change and my head's about to explode. I'm gonna go crazy. So that's the part I'm concerned about, because what will happen with these tokens? Are they going to be considered STOs? Are they going, what are they going to be? Are they properties? Are they commodities? Are they stocks? I mean, I don't know, right? Because our government doesn't even know yet. So that's my only fear of it. Let's say that, of course they haven't been given guidance yet, because we don't have any clear guidance. So let's say it looks like they're going to move forward with this, and they launch this token for the movie, the Bushnell. You buy it, you invest in it or whatever, and then either it doesn't go through because the government holds it up, or, even worse, you actually become a target of the government. Let's say you put a couple $100,000 into this. Oh, well, are you an accredited investor? Did you do this? I don't know. So, what type of tax repercussions come with this as well? Let's say you invest in it and the movie doesn't launch for a year and a half, and it does do $1 billion, or you lose a lot of money. Why are we talking about capital gains? Like, what happens with the taxes, right? So for that reason, I'm skeptical, unfortunately. Hopefully with, you got Overstock behind them. Hopefully with their team of lawyers and executives, they have that power to kind of push back and say, no, we'll help set guidance and self-regulate, but we're going to do this thing. But there's always that chance they get that tap on the shoulder and they're just like, all right, we tried to do this project, but the government doesn't want to see it birth. So we'll see what happens. But again, this is a pretty cool story, because I have a lot of movies in mind I would love to definitely invest in. Let's see. Sergeant Crypto said that's a use case if I ever seen that. That definitely is a use case. I mean, owning a piece of a movie, people, this is amazing. I can't wait. Digibyte said everything will be tokenized. Imagine going in on an automated car together with strangers, or that's gonna be. I know you're talking about. When we have these self-driving cars, you're gonna end up renting self-driving cars, because you're gonna own it as a piece of investment. And you're right. Well, let's say Digibyte hits me up like, hey, I just got this self-driving car from what is it called when they resell them at an auction or whatever. I got a cheap self-driving car. You trying to go in half with me? Or I'll go in half. A couple more buddies go in, and literally we all just get our money back after every ride share. Like, it literally just goes back to your crypto account after that ride share person pays the self-driving car. The self-driving car software pays the owners, puts it away for gas and maintenance and all that. You can literally get your money. So you're right. Everything that can be tokenized will be tokenized. Wife says no, says, what's going on, Malik Howard? Wife says no, says, I'm convinced this kitchen background's green screen is always on point clean. Hilarious. Listen, you never know, right? This is the studio. What's going on, Tony Nolly? Harold George says, RDJ is one of the biggest comeback stories in Hollywood I know of. Dude made bank in the last decade. All right, I need to be paying attention there. I did not realize that, but I would definitely be paying attention. Bitcoin Ben, what's going on? Bitcoin Ben said that's pitiful. Blockchain, fix that real quick for sure. Sergeant Crypto, exactly. The Alphabet boys are going to want their cut and then some. You already know how it goes. Yeah, there we go. Wife says no, smash those likes and shares. All right, speaking of government, U.S. SEC and FINRA has issued a statement on crypto custody issues. That is right. They are issuing joint statements now. They are working together. People, this is crazy. Who would have thought our government agencies would sit down in the same room and work together on crypto to figure out a way ahead, even though we already have one? It looks like the United States Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, and the Financial Industry Regulatory Authority, FINRA, outlined regulatory compliance issues for crypto custodians in an announcement on July 8th. According to the joint statement, which interestingly enough leaves out the CFTC, Commodities, who has not a totally different view, but a different view on crypto than these two organizations. Their joint statement basically said the organizations have yet to discover a set of circumstances in which a crypto custodian could comply with the SEC's customer protection rule, which is described as follows. Put simply, the customer protection rule requires broker-dealers to safeguard customer assets and to keep customer assets separate from the firm's assets, thus increasing the likelihood that customer securities and cash can be returned to them in the event of the broker-dealer's failure. First thing I want to point out with the customer protection rule is that it predates cryptocurrency. Like, this is crazy to me that we are using all these rules that predates technology. What if I had a rule where, I don't know, and this is just totally crazy, I'm just something far-fetched, but these are that far-fetched, where I said you're not allowed to talk to strangers, right? And then the internet comes out and, there's instant messaging, there's email, there's marketing, there's social media, but the law says you can't talk to strangers. Like, well, clearly this technology is more advanced than the law, so we need to change it. Again, laws are here to basically keep us safe and allow us to be private citizens without interfering in each other's, happiness, I guess. Everyone has their chance for freedom and the pursuit of happiness. That's what laws are for. They're not just there just to say, well, you can't do this, you can't do that, whatever. So again, it's interesting to me that we're still using these rules that predate crypto and the technology itself. And it's even more interesting that I get what they're saying. This actually is a decent one where they're trying to, help investors by saying, hey, these broker dealers, these exchanges, they can't safeguard your money because, as they put here, the SEC and FINRA put, holding a private key, for instance, is not sufficient to demonstrate ownership of crypto because another party could have a copy of the private key, basically have access to the account, and thus perform transactions that the custodian did not approve. I agree with the SEC and FINRA on this. I get it. That is not sufficient. However, I don't think there will be any type of law to sufficiently encapsulate this because the entire point of crypto is that you don't keep it with these people. That's the biggest thing everybody's missing. You're not supposed to have it under custody from a big, from one of these big vendors, these big institutions. We got $6 billion of crypto, and like just even with Grayscale, we got $2.69 billion of crypto under. I think the big thing that's coming up next, it will be an API that can link wallets to these institutions. Imagine if Grayscale Bitcoin Investment Trust or JP Morgan, because we know they're going to get into it, or Facebook or whoever decides to get in crypto, imagine if it was just an API that had, access to maybe 50% of your wallet or something like that, where they can trade on behalf, or even if it's a third party, where everything's in escrow and they're trading like that, right? Only a certain amount of your money. But in general, I don't think I don't see how, but there really is going to be a customer protection rule that can work, nor could the custodian side of it even work because it's not meant for someone else, especially a stranger. That's the biggest thing. When you do some of these custodians that are coming out, I remember in 2017, we saw 161, 170 new hedge funds just for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency pop up in 1 year, right? 161, 170 people at least, right? Let's just say if each hedge fund is ran by one person, 170 people. There were not 170 people in 2017 who knew enough about hedge funds and investments and Bitcoin to just up and start one. So all those people who started one, we even saw one, I think, I can't remember the son's name. I think it was like Don Tapper Jr., the kid who used like Andreas Antonopoulos and all these other famous crypto people's faces on his website, hoping to get investors who later took it down because they never co-signed that and he had to give everybody their money back. But that's who people were giving their money to. Literal strangers, not only to investing, but strangers to the community of crypto, and they were just handing their money over. So yeah, when you're doing that, it's not made for them to have custody of it. And I don't think there's no rule of law out there because what are you going to say? At least 6 people at your company needs to have the private key, or just the one person? No, what the government really wants to say is we're allowed to keep the private keys, and the companies can check with us when they want to withdraw their funds. So this one's going to get sticky, I think, because I get what the SEC FINRA is at on this. Is actually pretty good for customer protection, but the bottom line is it wasn't meant for that. It wasn't meant for some stranger to hold all your crypto. So again, I don't see how it's going to work, but we shall see. Shannon Allen is hilarious. He said facts on the kitchen. Crypto and code, right? Don't leave the kitchen alone, people. Let's see. It looks like Sergeant Crypto said that's funny because FINRA is a private entity. FINRA actually is a private entity, so I don't know why they're signing off on government things anyway. You're right. And the SEC is a government agency. Scammers will scam. Hilarious. Shannon Allen said they want to be the big brother where big brother is not needed due to the native nature of cryptocurrency. Right now, the government is big brother. They're the big brother that, imagine your little brother played a sport or something. He's just dominant. I mean, just imagine if Shaq had a big brother, right, who wasn't as good as Shaq. Shaq's dunking on people. He's doing let's say his older brother is like 5'5", or I won't say 5'5" because Muggsy Bogues snuck up in there. But let's say his older brother's like 4 or 5, right? Unathletic, can't play sports. And he's trying to tell Shaq, all right, let me get in the game and show you how to do this. Like after he's won like 3 championships, it's like, no, I know how to play basketball. I'm doing this the right way. I got it, but I appreciate your input. That is literally what's going on with the government. In this case, the government is the quote big brother because they're older and more established and dominant. However, I mean, we just saw the Grayscale yield to date, right? 296% versus 18.7%. You're not the big brother anymore. You're the little brother. I mean, you might be the big brother, but you're the big unintelligent, weaker brother. Like, you're not a better version of us just because you're older. You're just older. So it's crazy that we're seeing all this government input in the industry where clearly we don't need them. And it's far more advanced than what the government can even handle. We're seeing that with their rules and regulations right now. So we'll continue to keep a lookout on that, though. Yep, DigiBuy Unlimited said you got to keep your own keys. D. Chiron says some people need to be saved from themselves. They lack mental capacity. And that is true. And the reason why is because, the culture. No one's wrong. Everyone's right. No one, there is no value. Everyone's just, happy and holding hands. And with that, you get people who lack mental capacity because no one wants to just come out and say, hey, you're not that smart. Like, you're stupid. You shouldn't be doing this. No one wants to say that. But, hey, that's a part of it. Investor Fortress will buy Mt. Gox creditor claims for $900 per Bitcoin. Good news story if you're still involved in that Mt. Gox. The backhoe that's still going on. Looks like creditors of Mt. Gox waiting to get their Bitcoin back from the long defunct exchange can now get pennies on the dollar by selling their claims to Fortress Investment Group. In a letter sent to creditors, Michael Horrigan, a managing director at the New York-based private equity firm, said he is purchasing these claims for a Bitcoin investment vehicle the firm operates. For those who don't know or don't remember, Mt. Gox collapsed in 2014 after some 850,000 Bitcoins disappeared from the exchange servers. And the exchange, of course, entered bankruptcy at the time. Its status switched to civil rehabilitation last year. Creditors of the exchange hope they would receive their missing Bitcoin after the switch rather than the cash equivalent at the time of the exchange collapse. The case is still currently sitting before the Tokyo District Court. I think this is a great move by Fortress. So shout out to Fortress. This is the right way to do it, okay? I just talked about JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and some of these folks. I'm trying to do the JPM coin. Facebook, I get it. Hey, we got 2.3 billion users. We're going to launch our own coin. But for the investment platforms, for some of those S&P companies or anyone else out there who's looking at this with a lot of money and they're figuring out how to enter the market, instead of being like CME and SIBO or even the federal government and trying to crash the market so you can buy low and get in with your friends, get in on these. There's a ton of people right now who would jump on this deal. It looks like they reviewed each claim individually, but they are now generally able to offer $900 per Bitcoin claim, or roughly 200% of the bankruptcy value, which was $451 per Bitcoin claim at the time. They said we can pay that in Bitcoin, so you can get your money back actually in Bitcoin or any fiat currency of your choice. Our payment would be made within 10 business days of the claim transfer confirmation. Now, for Fortress and Horrigan, again, this is where champions are made, people. I can tell you now, this move by him is probably, for the most part of his company, for those who haven't got with the new tech wave, they're probably looking at him crazy. Like, this is a big risk, right? But it actually isn't. This is a smart play. The money's there. Each individual involved, and whether it's, Mt. Gox, or let's talk about things like BitConnect, OneCoin, some of these bigger scams that's coming out, Quadriga CX, some of these bigger heist, exit scams, wherever you want to call it, the collapses. People individually don't have the power or the money to not only take this loss, but also go hire a team of lawyers to aggressively pursue these companies or these individuals to get their money back. Now, someone like Fortress Investment Group, who's already built up with a team of seasoned professionals, we got lawyers on deck, we got a legal department, all right? We're sending kids to school, all right? When you have that type of infrastructure, this is the way you get into Bitcoin. All right, hey, we got this Mt. Gox thing that happened. Look, we can actually get Bitcoin on pennies on the dollar, what it is right now. We're talking 12,000, $600 we just saw. $900 a coin, or a little bit more than that. We pay the people back. That way they don't have a claim to this. They're happy because they have no way to fight this. They've been fighting since 2014 now. We make them happy. We get them out of here, and we keep everything left over, and the market continues to go where it goes, then we'll be fine as long as we keep a handful of Bitcoin anyway, right? So to me, this is a win-win for them. I think more companies and investment groups may start doing this. Again, I think this is the best way to do it instead of doing all the new. Again, they're trying to figure out applications for everything. Like I said, everything that can be tokenized will be. You got JPM coin coming out. It would have been much better for JP Morgan or even, again, Goldman Sachs to just literally find one of these Mt. Gox things, or again, OneCoin or one of those, and say, you know what? We're going to buy back the debt. We're going to settle with all the people who are trying to sue. And then we're going to use our team to go after this company. And we will get our money because we don't lose in court. So I think that was huge news. And again, shout out to people who were invested in that, because now you have a chance to actually basically double your money back. You will incur no loss. You will actually make money on this. From an economic point, of course, you would lose because you're saying, well, Bitcoin's at 12,000 plus now. But at the same time, you remember 400 at the time was a high. 451 was the 12,000. So it's very easy to say that, but it's also, you can also put in there, hey, that thing would have hit $5,000 after the $450 high. You probably would have sold too, because that would have been your 100,000 for some people. So something to take a peek at. Malik Howard said, proof of keys every year may help people learn to keep their keys for sure. What's going on, Trek, PFC Wells? Let's see, North Carolina Lieutenant Governor launches blockchain initiative. Wow. North Carolina, finally not the last state to do something. That's what I'm talking about. For those who know history, get that joke. Anyway, North Carolina Lieutenant Governor Dan Forest launched an initiative to study the unique attributes and use cases of blockchain tech. He actually announced it on July 2nd on his own website. Must be a slow news day, CoinDesk. But the North Carolina Blockchain Initiative will be a nonpartisan initiative aimed to develop recommendations on how the tech can be used to boost opportunities for economic growth and cost efficiencies in the state. It also hoped the results of the work could boost North Carolina as a leader in technological innovation. Now, this is great news because for those who know about North Carolina, state capital in Raleigh, Research Triangle Park, RTP, that's where a lot of tech companies are, of course, North Carolina. And see, state is right there holding it down as well. But, this is the state capital. This is where all the technology in the state happens at. And they're probably one of the, I would say modernized, because I can't say the only part, because North Carolina has a bunch of country too. But they're one of the more modernized parts of North Carolina, who isn't totally under the thumb of banks, right? Or at least it isn't seemingly. Most of the banks are in Charlotte and surrounding areas in that metropolitan area, which is a few hours away. But I think this is good news because not only does this bring, hey, he's saying we want to open up this initiative. Again, this is the state capital. This is where all the colleges are. You got in a 15-minute radius, you have Duke, North Carolina State, Chapel Hill, Central. A&T is 45 minutes away. Let's not even mention all the all-women schools where you talk about the ones I can't think of right now, but it's like 3 all-women schools in the area. There's literally like 15, 16 schools. Which ones am I forgetting? I'm forgetting a ton of schools right now, a ton of HBCUs in the area. There's schools everywhere, right? literally 15 schools in like a 15, 20-minute radius. It's ridiculous. But to have that type of brain power coming in. You talking about kids who've been using tech since they were literally babies on iPads and ordering whatever, to now, I think this would be huge. The only issue I have, or the only thing I would say we might have to look out for, is North Carolina is headquartered to Bank of America. And you are absolutely crazy if you don't think Bank of America has something to say about this. My only guess, since this is actually moving forward in the fact that he put nonpartisan, is that the banks are actually paying for this initiative. That's the only thing I can think of. The banks are actually saying, you know what, forget it, launch it. Let's get all the college students on this right now. And as they'll graduate, they will naturally flow back into the banks as working professionals. And all their good ideas, we can literally just shake them upside down and make sure all the Sonic coins drop up out of them. All right? It has to be funded by banks, people, because there's no way the lieutenant governor would launch a blockchain initiative, something that literally competes with the banks in a banking backyard. I don't see it happening. North Carolina hasn't stood this tall on anything else before in the past. So I don't see them doing it now out the blue. So my guess is that the banks are probably funding this. But regardless, this is a good step for technology. And it's a good step forward. So I'm happy to see that. That's pretty cool to see. DigiByte said, you guys ever think of getting ball players and celebrities in the community that are into crypto on your show? Maybe Russell on for the NFL. Yeah, listen, when it comes to celebrities and all that, for myself personally, you can push them to the show. But, for me, I do a ton of other stuff. I don't have time to chase people down to get them on the show. I'm cool with organic growth, and I am confident in what I'm doing on the crypto side and some other things where, regardless, we'll be fine, whoever comes on the show. People want to come, great, but we don't have the resources to chase. So we are more than happy if anybody wants to email some of these people and say, hey, you should link up with them or, add them on a tweet. But other than that, I'm not doing it. Game of Thrones, what's going on? Puerto Rico is the Bitcoin state. D. Chiron said, put state spending on blockchain would change everything. Of course, state spending on blockchain. I can't wait for state spending on blockchain. Like, are you crazy? I would help that program. I want to help that program. What's going on, Madam Crypto? Bank of America and Wells. Yeah, Wells Fargo was the other one. Up the street from my house in Charlotte. Yep. I used to live in Charlotte as well. I know all about it. Actually, I mean, my mom used to work for Wachovia for I don't know how long, people. So I know a ton of people who work for some of these companies. All right, last but certainly not least, John McAfee offers to build Cuba's first cryptocurrency. Shout out to McAfee. Listen, you never want to come back to America, huh, buddy? It looks like the cybersecurity expert and tech entrepreneur John McAfee recently declared his willingness to work with Cuba's government as a crypto advisor. And his tweet, of course, is that's the only way we get official news now. Shout out to Donald Trump for making that happen. John McAfee said Cuba is planning to use cryptocurrency to get around the 63 years of economic strangulation imposed upon 14 million Cuban people by the insanity of the United States government. Finally, a large-scale real-world application for cryptocurrencies. If Cuba wants my help, I am here. Now, John, I will have to, I'm sure you already know this, but yeah, that is literally like saying, publicly declaring war with the United States. They're going to sanction you to death for this. But this is what I like seeing. I mean, I don't get it. There's all these billionaires out here. There's all these people with money, and they're literally cowering down to a bunch of nerds who are supposed to be working for them. Like, I mean, there's a bunch of people who entire life, they practice government or service, as they say, where literally their entire life has been, I've been getting paid by somebody else to supposedly represent you, but instead I'm creating things to restrict your movement and make you more public than you are private. So I'm glad to see, there's somebody out there and there are people out there who are saying, you know what, I will help this country because whether you believe it or not, he's saying what's been happening has been wrong. But again, McAfee, you definitely put a target on your back. But, as he said, you can't just create a coin and expect it to fly. When he's talking about Venezuela's efforts and how Cuba needs to move forward, you have to have it based on the proper blockchain, have a structure such that it meets the specific needs of a country or economic situation. So again, this is all good stuff to see they might get help with it. But on the flip side, McAfee, I mean, I'm not going to be all nice to you either. I got to be honest. McAfee had his pump and dumps going too on Twitter. So this may also be a way for him to stay in the news, or even better, a way to get a paycheck from Cuba. Because at the end of the day, sanction or not, I don't care who you are. If a country were to call you up and say, hey, we will pay you $600 million to help us with our Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and you find out they're sanctioned by the U.S., you're probably like, man, guess I got to move tomorrow because I'm going to go get $600 million, right? So for him, from a business perspective, I get it. It makes sense. But I wouldn't, as more people learn about cryptocurrency in general and blockchain technology, I wouldn't be surprised to see this happen more. Where different people from different countries like, hey, whatever, you going to pay me? You going to give me a house? Yeah, I'll come over here and show you how to do this. The guy from whatchamacallit did it. Who's the education secretary of the United States? Who shouldn't have been there, but her brother who owns all the private militaries or whatever around the world. I mean, governments hire him everywhere to come in and literally train up armies and special forces. So yeah, we can see the same thing here with cryptocurrency. I think that's pretty cool. All right, last couple of comments for a call a day. I know I went over a little bit today, but hey, this is crypto, people. What's going on, T-Cheek? Harold George said, Cuba hosts a lot of American renegades. McAfee is crazy. Oh, you already know. PFC Wells said, I so want to see how that's going to play out for Cuba. Exactly. I want to see how it's going to play out for John McAfee, because now he is literally, you playing with the U.S. like head on right now. All right. Digibite even said John McAfee got away with murder and is running for president outside of America. Gangster. Hey, yep. Shannon Allen, thank you. Blackwater guy and Betsy Devils. One thing I try to tell people about Betsy Devils when they didn't understand how she became the education secretary with no experience or nothing, I told people to look at her brother. I think it's like Eric or something, Eric whatever, who's the Blackwater guy who basically went into Afghanistan when we first went in there and did a bunch of stuff with his teams, and now literally gets contracted for governments around the world. I'm not going to go into detail about that, but my point about all that is that I believe it can work the same way with crypto, where we start seeing these people like McAfee or people with the resources and the experience and the knowledge say, you know what? Yeah, I'll just help another country. Like, we'll just do it this way if you're going to kick us out of here or whatever, even if it's not a negative thing. Let's say it's a friend of the United States, it's the UK, It's someone in NATO, and we say, hey, I'm going to go help one of our NATO allies, whoever it is. My point is, I can see that happening a bit more. So Eric Prince, there we go. Eric Prince. Listen, that is Betsy DeVos' brother, for those who don't know, and for those who still didn't understand how Betsy DeVos had so much power with President Trump and his administration. There you have it. Eric is actually one of our generals. We just don't say it because of some of the things his team has done in the past. Let's see. And last but not least, Game of Thrones said when a company can use Ethereum ENS domain service to register every person to Ethereum address and download all medical records, important documents, etc. into that address with end-to-end encrypt. Exactly. I mean, it's a ton of stuff coming out, right? And they said Devils is the Amway hero, right? I don't even know. That might be true, though. PFC Wells, yeah, he knows what I'm talking about. That dude is making money hand over fist. People, go ahead and look at Eric Prince and some of the countries he's been to and what he's doing. I'm telling you, we can do the same thing for crypto, all right? All right, other than that, hey, Paradigm Audio, thank you as well. Thanks for watching as always, and we will see you all tomorrow with some more crypto news. I'm not going to do any Cryptocoin today because this week we're both kind of bouncing around, but we will make sure to get back to you with that very soon. Other than that, you all have a great Tuesday, and we will see you all tomorrow. Cheers.